Do you need to take your outdoor living to the next level? Do you want a different, unique structure that not everyone has? You need to check out a louvered roof pergola, custom built by Innovative Outdoor in Fort Worth, Texas. So, regardless of whether you have an existing covered patio attached to your home, maybe you've got that structure by your pool, maybe you've got that structure in a great outdoor living area that you need more coverage and protection from the sun above. Check out a louvered roof pergola from Innovative Outdoor. Call my friend Andy, and he will take care of you.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for watching Improve It, a home improvement industry podcast that's full spectrum, nothing necessarily out of bounds. We'll discuss everything from finance to different types of projects to anything and everything that can come into play in the home improvement world. I'm very, very excited to have a gentleman here beside me today named Andy Hoyt. Andy is also in his organization, Innovative Outdoor. They are a sponsor of this particular podcast, and we're super thankful for that. But this certainly isn't about us or about our podcast. It's about the industry, and we want to spend some time talking with Andy about some of his body of work and his experience and the things that his company is doing today. So welcome, Andy. Thank you for being with us.
I appreciate you having me here, Thomas. This is terrific. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well, great, man. Well, look, we've known each other about a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And, certainly grateful for the connection and thankful for your sponsorship, thankful for you being on. First of all, we'd like our audience to kind of get an idea of who you are and what you do and that sort of thing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your company, but, start with your company.
Sure.
Who are you? How did all this happen?
Sure. So we're a manufacturer of the highest quality motorized louvered roof pergola systems. We started in manufacturing in North Carolina, decided that we would move our manufacturing to someplace a little more centrally located. So we moved about 2.5 years ago to Fort Worth, Texas. All of our products are made out of U.S. aluminum that is extruded in Texas, manufactured in Texas, powder coated in Texas, and we're super excited about being in the Texas market, and the customers are excited. We do a lot of commercial work, we do a lot of residential work, and our facility, we ship a lot of stuff out of there. We also manufacture just recently. We started manufacturing a sliding glass product out of Italy that is absolutely fantastic. It's a luxury-based product, but affordable for most of the country. So we started this a couple of years ago. We started out as we were just selling the product. As we got more and more involved with it, we saw a great need for a really high quality manufacturer of the product.
Sure.
So the way we everything that we do is installer centric. That we've decided that if we start with what the installer experience is for our dealers, that ends up being just a great starting point, because if the installers hate installing it, then ultimately the customer, the end user experience ends up not being great. Well, that works its way all the way up through the system to whoever the dealer is, that we say, hey, look, by the way, we don't want to sell this anymore because we're not excited about the product.
Sure.
So if we start with the customer end user experience, but then move into immediately the installer experience, we've found that it's been a great model, and it's been received really, really well.
Sure. Seen the product, installed the product. It is fantastic. But just for maybe our audience that doesn't know, I think a lot of times when folks hear pergola, mm-hmm. they think of that old structure that was built in the backyard out of, cedar or wood, and it's rotten and it's leaning and that sort of thing. So tell us kind of just mechanically what a louvered roof pergola is.
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of people equate it to similar to a plantation shutter that's inside of someone's house,
Okay.
where you have a bunch of louvers that are all connected by a tilt rod with a motor that's attached to that. So you can control the amount of light, the amount of sun, the amount of rain that comes in through that system, and it can be closed all the way up so that it has a gutter system around it, so it can collect the rain. So in a light to medium rain, you can sit out there under the system. Or if you have a sunlight and you're just trying to produce shade for your backyard, you can open it to different varying degrees to allow it to open, to allow the heat to escape through it, also to provide shade from the sun. It's a revolutionary product. It's been around for about 10 years now. But over the last 10 years, there have been significant improvements. Our product specifically is the only one that has ball bearing construction. So as the louvers turn, as opposed to having metal on metal that tends to squeak and tends to make a lot of noise, ours is ball bearing construction. So it's silent as it moves. And that's one of the big benefits to it. It also, just recently, I had our dumpster truck at our plant drive over the top of one of the louvers. The louvers are the strongest in the industry. It didn't touch it. I've got a great video of it. In fact, I'll share it with you, Thomas,
That's
of
awesome.
this dumpster truck driving over the top of the louver, and it doesn't affect it one bit. It is an absolutely fantastic product. Stands up to hurricanes around the southern part of Texas. We never have to really worry about snow loads, but it holds up to snow loads. It holds up to wind loads. It is an absolutely fantastic product.
I've seen several of those at home shows and different things,
Sure.
and it seems to me there's a huge influx of that product coming from overseas.
That's
and
right.
China and different places. And again, I understand, some of that as well. But one thing I was really impressed with, and that I didn't like about some of the products that I saw, whether it be Chinese or some of your competitors, when that louver closes on some of these products, I've heard of like a clanking, like a real loud noise, but I don't hear that with your product. Why is that?
Right. So we have a gasket that goes in between each one of the louvers, so that when it closes all the way, we have competitors that say, "Oh, well, the clank is the reason it's all the way closed."
Oh,
well,
that's
one way of looking at it.
Sounds like a convenient way to explain a problem.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like knowing, oh, well, no, your shock absorbers are good when they make a lot of racket when you're driving on the road.
Sure.
So ours has a gasket that goes in between there. So when it closes all the way, it's also silent. So it's not only silent as it moves back and forth, but it's silent when it closes all the way. And I don't, there's a price point for every customer, and people gain different values from different things. But the products that come from primarily from Southeast Asia, they're just they're a thinner quality aluminum. The powder coating doesn't hold up, especially to the Texas sun. Our powder coating is all done in Carrollton, Texas. All of our extrusions are done in Wiley, Texas. It is just the grade of the product is much, much higher than you get from these offshore products. The other thing that we're seeing right now is the impact of the tariffs that they have on these products coming from Southeast Asia. That has been where we have been typically a higher echelon price point product because of the quality of the product. All of a sudden, we're finding that a lot of people are way beyond where we are. Even some of the vastly insuperior products that are just really the value of them is much lower. The quality is much lower. but the price points are now coming into where you're going, well, gosh, why would you pay that much money for a vastly, not a good product? And I don't understand, but it's good for us.
What's your greatest resource in business? What's the largest challenge your organization faces? Well, I can tell you from experience, it's people. The home improvement industry is challenging. Sometimes it's hard to find the right people. It's very difficult to find people as skilled as you need them. You need a partner that can help, and that's Bricks Recruiting. Whether you need senior level management, whether you need sales reps, whether you're in building, whether you're in roofing, any element in the home improvement industry. If you need staffing, if you need leadership, you need Bricks.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that's being headquartered in Texas. Texas is different for those of you out there that don't live in Texas, don't have a lot of business in Texas. Texas is very unique in that it's one of the few places in the country where almost made in Texas can mean as much or even sometimes more than made in America.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that's huge for you, but you're not just doing business in Texas.
No,
I mean, you're shipping all over.
We ship all over North America.
Okay.
From and that's part of being in Fort Worth. It's just a very there's the trucking lanes from Fort Worth, without getting too deep into that, are just very good. They're good going
Sure.
east and west. They're good going north and south. So we ship all the way through Mexico, all of the United States, and up into Canada. But the other thing that, with these products that you see that were coming from overseas during COVID, there were a lot of companies that had a really difficult time. Well, I don't know if you remember, as we all try to remember back to that time, there were ships that were stuck offshore that they couldn't get onshore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our competitors, they were quoting anywhere from 26 to 50 weeks lead time for their products. We never missed a beat because everything is coming right from here. And so, a lead time of 6 to 8 weeks, all of a sudden people are going, gosh, that's unbelievable. The tariffs are having a similar impact.
Sure.
That
Have you been able to pretty well maintain that?
Oh my gosh, it's been unbelievable. Okay. It's the business, it's always growing, but we grow along with it. And okay. Scalability is a thing, and it's terrific. So yes, fortunately, our powder coaters keep up, our plant definitely keeps up, and our extruder is able to keep up.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yep.
So for those that may not know, being in the whether you're listening and you're on the fringe of the home improvement industry, or whether you're an industry veteran, whatever segment you work in, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a landscaper mowing grass, or if you're in the window and door gutter business, if you're a home builder, if you're in the manufacturing element. When you think about lead times can be challenging. I mean, sure. I've worked with companies that had 16, 20-week lead times. I've dealt with that on both ends, from the manufacturing side, from the product delivery side, and it's a challenge. But if with having a 6 to 8 week lead time mm-hmm. for a custom manufactured, made to order product, with that's sourced here in America is pretty exceptional. Yeah. So congratulations on being able to do that, because that's something that is important to buyers.
Absolutely, and we pride ourselves on that. We also, going back to the being made in Texas, we are a proud Texas manufacturer, and I can tell you that everything that we do, we try to focus on what is the best thing, as opposed to focusing on what can make us the most money. We focus on what can build the best company. Absolutely. and what is our dealer network need from us as far as support goes. As you well know, I travel a lot, and I travel and I see our dealers and dealers big and small. We try to be there for them. We try to make sure that in every corner and every question that they have, even if I'm not in the area, people FaceTime me all the time. Your locations, your guys, they FaceTime me. Other dealers FaceTime me. The technology that we have right now makes it really, really easy. Where people in the past have been scared of doing something different and saying, "Oh, hey, you know what? I know how to build a pergola out of wood. I don't know how to build a pergola out of metal." Okay, well, you know what? First of all, we make it extremely simple in that the product comes to the installer. The holes are already drilled. Everything is cut. Nothing gets cut on site. So instead of where you might go to a lumber yard and you buy a bunch of wood and you chop stuff up in a customer's backyard, everything comes already built. You give us the dimensions and we build it exactly the way that you want it built.
Well, not only that, you don't have to worry about things like that lumber because of the pressure treating process, that's swelling, contracting. You don't have to wait, 6 to 8 weeks for it to cure out, to stain. You don't have to worry about it splitting and then
warping,
rotting, all of those sort of things. So I think it's obviously going to be a different price point, than most of your wooden products, even a high-end cedar pergola.
Sure.
But the durability is it's absolutely impressive.
Well, and the other part of that is when you talk about the inconvenience to a customer to say, we're going to build you a pergola in the backyard. We'll be here for a week or more to build this pergola in the backyard. When it's shipped to you more like an erector set where you're just screwing it together, a day and a half to 2 days, and you're done. You're in and out of a customer's location. So a few things for a dealer that matters. Cash flow is a big one. When a customer gives you a deposit, first of all, if it only takes 6 weeks to get the product, now you're collecting the balance. And you're collecting it within a couple of days of being at their house because you're done. And cash flow is so big.
Quick turns.
Absolutely.
So, you got that deposit money.
Yep.
Obviously, the product gets paid for, it gets shipped, you get to install it, you get to realize the revenue. Because ultimately, to the dealer or the contractor that sells the job, that deposit is really not real money until it's it's paid in full from the customer.
Absolutely.
Okay. So who is, as far as the end user of the product? I know you're working through dealer networks and that sort of thing. But is it somewhat equal representation between a homeowner and a commercial property?
So I would say that we probably dollar wise, we do about 50-50 residential and commercial. But size of the systems, a restaurant, obviously covering a patio in a restaurant, and you know this as well as anybody, because you can put this over the patio of a restaurant and then put your screens on there and that sort of thing. It's unbelievable how that transforms the outside of their space, but that's a much higher ticket,
right?
Obviously,
Sure.
So dollar wise, it's about the same. Number of units wise, it's probably 80% residential and about 20% commercial.
But it makes sense for a business owner, whether it's like some sort of event venue or a restaurant or anything. There's a gathering of people that they would like to be outside, but places like Texas, places that have some of the pain points, the wind, the dust, the rain, the heat, even the cold. It gives some additional seating, which obviously can convert to revenue if you have somewhere to put the person.
That's exactly right. And what we saw happen, again, going back to COVID, when, if you remember back, when all these restaurants had to move people outside and you had to have 6 foot social distancing and all these things that happened during COVID, people started dining outside. Well, all of a sudden they don't want to go back inside. And this holds true with homeowners who are saying, hey, by the way, we've got this great backyard. I want to sit back there and eat. Well, by the way, we're getting cooked in the afternoon sun. We can't sit back there and eat. And the number of jobs that we have done, and I know you've probably seen it as well, where you go, gosh, you know what? Typically in your mind, we sometimes have an image of who our customers are or what their houses look like, what the price point of their house is. I can tell you that we've put pergolas on houses that I would say, hey, by the way, there's other things that these people maybe should have spent their money on as opposed to this because it's an expensive product. And they could have spent, $20,000, $25,000 somewhere else. But you look at a small pergola, and as we're there installing it and having the customer say, we've never sat outside and ate, and tonight we're sitting out here to eat.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you go, gosh, you know what? It almost doesn't matter what these people spent
No,
on this.
absolutely.
It has changed their life, and I feel great about that.
Your home has a beautiful covered patio. You've got this great outdoor kitchen. You have this dining area. You have a chase lounge. You've got the flat screen TV on the wall, and you use it one day a week. Why? Well, in the spring of the year, it's because of the pollen. In the summer, it's because the sun's too bright. At certain times of day, it's because of the nosy neighbor, or maybe the mosquitoes are too bad. Well, there's a company out there that can solve those problems for you, and that's Shade Doctor LLC, the only source for the exclusive X-ray product in all of the United States. Whether you're in the Southeast, whether you're in the Midwest, whether you're along the panhandle of Florida, it doesn't matter. Shade Doctor can take care of your patio.
That's an interesting principle because in like in sales coaching and training that we get involved in all the time, sometimes people get, negativity about things about, oh, folks aren't going to spend money on this, or they don't have money to do this. And they, and then sometimes that could be more, depending on where you are in the country. I remember when we've gone into certain states and they thought, oh, our price should be less here. And I said, no, guys, forget all of that. People, the consumer buys what they want to buy.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
The guy in a economically depressed state, he pays the same thing, relatively speaking, for his Platinum F-150 that the guy does in a state that has a great economy and the real estate value is worth 3 times as much.
That's right.
Right.
That's
so
right.
people buy what they want.
That's exactly right. And why is it up to us to judge what they decide to spend their money on? And that's what I tell people all the time. They go, oh, you know what? I Googled this guy's neighborhood. He's in an X dollar neighborhood. I'm not going to spend the time going out there. It's like, you know what? Most people now are price conditioned to some extent on what things cost. Google, the internet has done that for all of us. And I say, no, you know what? You need to give them the same level of respect. And I can tell you, we have had houses that we've done work in. We did work in a $400,000 house that put in a $1.6 million backyard in a $400,000 house. And I can tell you, we pulled up to the house and I said, we can't be in the right place. There's no chance they're doing a $1.6 million backyard in this house. I asked the dealer, I said, we went back there and by God, they've got 2 swimming pools and they've got slides and they've got a fire pit in the middle of the pool with glass.
That's
crazy. And I'm like, I said, what's going on here? Like, this doesn't make any sense because this doesn't match the house at all. And the guy said, this guy is terminally ill and he wanted to leave a place for his kids to gather. And so he's spending all of his money. He said, if I just give them the money, I don't know what they're going to do, so I'm going to build this backyard.
That's fine. I know a number of years ago, I was a part of a region with a national sunroom company, and we opened a division in the Southeast and outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
We had a lead pop up on the calendar. One of my sales reps calls me. He's like, hey, Tom, I don't really think we ought to be going here. It's not a good area. I've looked it up on Zillow and all of this. And he said, and we can't put a sunroom product on effectively what was a 1970s model single wide trailer. Now, nothing wrong with, whatever. I mean, your home is your castle. That's great.
Yeah.
And so my reply was, we obviously don't want to prejudge. I took a very corporate, politically correct mandate, but I'll be honest with you. If I was the rep that had that lead, I'd have probably been listening to the devil on my shoulder too, saying, why am I being sent here?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But I told the company line and I said, hey, it's an opportunity. Who knows whether that's even the property that's there today?
That's right.
So the rep goes and he calls me afraid like 3 hours later. And I'm like, oh boy, it's that bad. He's like, I just sold, and I'm not going to talk about the project value,
Right.
but effectively he said, I have like $35,000 of cash and I'm scared to death because of the neighborhood I'm in.
Oh,
So to complete the story, he had showed up to this home, Andy, and it was it was one of these, you've probably seen these, where they like literally build the house around an old single wide trailer.
yes, yes.
And the home had this beautiful covered patio, custom masonry, all of this, but like 15 feet out of each end stuck an old single wide trailer. And I don't know whether it was like, hey, I'm doing that like for memory, you know, like them stacking up stones, you know, on the side of the other side of the Red Sea or something, you know. So I didn't know if it was just to remember where they come from. But anyway, so I'm thinking, well, what if we had a said, no, look, just cancel it, don't go. So don't, guys out there in the industry, do not prejudge your customer's pocketbook because people buy what they want.
That's exactly right. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter. You know, if you go to a grocery store, by the way, you know what, they sell a tenderloin that is, you know, whatever, $30 a pound, and they sell a ground hamburger, and it's not up to us to decide which customer is going to buy which thing. And I think it's important. It's important for people to understand, especially people in our industry, because you get hung up. Because we have all these tools that are accessible to us. You can go on Zillow, you can look at what the value of the house is, you can do a Google search and see who the guy is, and oh, by the way, this guy.
Do you need to scale your business? Do you need to get your products and services in front of the right customers? Maybe you need to build a new website. Maybe you need a very creative Google ad strategy or SEO built in behind your website. Well, if you need to take your business to the next level, you need to call my friend Billy with Grow Marketing in San Antonio, Texas.
But model mechanic, whatever. Hey, you know, okay.
Yeah, but I tell our guys, I said, look, that's like feeling sick in a way, but you're not real certain, and you're going on WebMD.
That's
like
the worst thing. Exactly right.
Worst thing to do.
That's exactly right.
Before we kind of, and we're not out of time yet, but we're getting a little close.
Sure.
But before we get out of time, tell us just a little bit, you know, because that's not a new industry, but it's a new segment of the industry for you. Yep. What have you spent a lot of your career doing?
So I was, prior to being in this industry, I was in the window treatment industry for 20 years, which is why when I saw the product, and so I owned an international windows treatment distributorship, and we were the largest distributor of plantation shutters in the world, which is why when I saw this product and I said, my gosh, you know what? A lot of my real world experience actually translates to what this is. And it became extremely natural for us for me personally, to step into this role and say, gosh, you know what? We can actually manufacture these, because this is something that I fully understand already. And the manufacturing, although there's a lot of engineering, there's a lot of things that go along with that. I'm an accountant by trade. I'm not an engineer, but I always tell people, if my parents had told me what an engineer was when I was in high school, I didn't know. I probably would have been an engineer, because I think my head is more geared toward that. But that, and so prior to owning that, I had sold that business, which was a great translation. Prior to that, I owned 6 industrial laundries, and so which I had sold, and so I have a lot of kind of manufacturing plant type experience with that. Have experience in the kind of in the window treatment world that translates almost directly to what we're doing now.
Well, that's very good.
It just made sense.
I think there's a good a good message there, just in that it's it's a shift. And, this is, look, I'm certainly not this anymore either, but you're not 25 anymore.
That's
right?
right. That's
And,
right.
and you've made a bit of a shift like this, sometimes maybe a little later than other folks may feel comfortable,
That's
right?
right.
So, I think there's a good message there that if you don't feel like you're there yet, the reality is you're never there yet.
That's right.
So,
That's
so
right.
don't stop. Just
Well,
keep plugging along. Try something new and different.
That's absolutely right. I can tell you, I sold my industrial laundries when I was 32 when I retired. When I was 32 years old, I was retired for about 6 weeks before I decided, you know what, I still have kids and none of my friends are retired. Like this isn't
Yeah,
that
well-
interesting. So then I started this window treatment business, sold that when I was 46. And so when I was 46, I retired again, and I was retired for about 4 years that time, and but was actually, as strange as this sounds, was almost embarrassed to tell people that I was retired. So I had a little boat shop that I would tell them, oh, I got this boat shop. And they, oh, I got a boat. And he said, yeah, no, we're not really interested in that. And then this opportunity came along, and I was like, I feel like I still have something left to give. And honestly, I'm having a ball. I don't even know what retirement looks like at this point because I can't see myself doing something other than what I'm doing right now.
Well,
I absolutely love it. And I'm just a person that I believe that, God gives you experiences throughout your life that all of a sudden they culminate into something that he's all of a sudden saying, hey, by the way, this is what I was planning for you. And that's sort of where I feel that I am right now. And I get to go out, I get to travel, I get to, visit with people. I'm not a podcast person by any means. I'm not comfortable doing it.
Well, we're not either.
But I enjoy it. But I just enjoy talking about my product. We're proud of what we've built. We're proud of the things that we've done with our dealers. And I absolutely love it. And I can tell you that I've worked with so many installers across the country and learned so much. And in fact, one of your installers, I was telling him this morning, we made a change in our plant based on something that I saw Jose do at the last job that we were at. He gave something to somebody. I was watching what he's doing. I immediately called our plant manager and I said, we're going to start doing this because we can do it in the plant easier than they can do it in the field.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's make their life better.
Well, that's awesome.
And I told him that this morning.
Well, tell me what the website is again.
Yep. So it's innovative-outdoor.com.
Okay.
And
not another company out there that's kind of played off of that, but you got to have the dash.
That's right. That's
innovative-outdoor.com.
That's
great.
Right. Yep.
And look, I can't recommend Andy and those guys enough. If you're out there and you're in the outdoor industry, hardscapes, you're in the pool business, those sort of things, and you're looking for a fantastic pergola product, do not hesitate looking up Innovative Outdoor and reaching out to Andy.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Thomas. We have great relationships with our dealers, and I absolutely love what we do. I love working with their installers. I love traveling, training. It just fits who I am as a person.
That's awesome.
I'm not a sit behind the desk accountant type person. I was an accountant for 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, and I said, I can't do this for a living.
I don't blame you.
I can't. That's not me. So I would love anybody who is interested. I would love to talk to anybody about it.
All right, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tom. I sure appreciate it. All right.